Hello, this is Lara Rubbelke with Azure Friday, and today I have Thomas Alex, who is a Principal Program Manager on our AI platform team. And he's going to show an interesting solution that we use internally for our internal first-party services, things like Office 365 and SharePoint Online and some other big programs that we have within Microsoft that leverages HDinsight, Kafka, and a number of other services. And we call this Siphon. So today, Thomas is going to walk us through Siphon and how we use Siphon and help you understand how you can use these services as well to build out your applications. So Thomas, what would you like to show us?
Hey Lara, thank you for having me on. I would just like to tell you a little bit about Siphon today. I'll take you through what Siphon is, show a quick architecture diagram of what Siphon is, take you through a couple of examples of customer scenarios that we power using Siphon, and then I'll talk about why we used HDinsight Kafka to power Siphon.
Great, great.
Okay, so a quick overview of what Siphon is. So Siphon is what we call a data bus that enables high-scale, near real-time data flow for various services to produce and consume. So it really supports three things: easy publication, discovery, and subscription of data in near real-time. Second is it enables streaming processing, especially using open-source platforms like Storm or Spark Streaming. And thirdly, a config-driven way to route data from various sources to important first-party destinations within the company.
Okay.
So this is what Siphon is. As you said, it's an internal tool. We use it for many teams within the company, especially in Bing and Office 365.
Great, great. Well, let's see how this is put together.
So this is a quick overview diagram of Siphon. Let's take a quick look, from left to right. There's an SDK that data producers use to produce data to send to this service. The second piece over there is a collector service that receives all the data and does a few other things like authorization and makes sure the data is secure and persists it into the Kafka cluster. So that's the heart of the PubSub service that Siphon is providing. And on the right, you have the sort of consumption services. You have basically two modes of consumption. Either you have streaming platforms like Spark or Storm that are used to consume the data. And we also have a connector service that can be configured to push data to various destinations. All of this is sort of wrapped up in an API that is used by both the Siphon's user interface as well as other tools that integrate with Siphon.
Okay, so all of this is essentially Siphon.
Exactly. The whole thing comprises Siphon, and we leverage HDinsight Kafka at the heart of this service.
Okay, so we're using our own HDinsight service, composing it with multiple other services that we've created or that we're leveraging other
pieces on Azure services. For example, we do leverage Service Fabric on Azure, and we leverage Azure Container Service to build some of these other pieces. But the core where the data is persisted and that is used for messaging is HDI Kafka.
Great. All right. Well, let's see some more.
So I want to quickly give a couple of examples that sort of illustrate how we use this within the company. Right. The first example is from Office 365 security. So Office 365 has their customers' data sitting in Microsoft's cloud, right? So protecting that data is of paramount importance. So one of the ways that's done is by trying to detect any intrusions or malicious activity that's happening on these cloud machines. The way it's done is signals are taken from these services, signals such as somebody's attempting a login, or hey, there was some multiple login attempts happened on a machine and so on. So these signals are taken from the host, ingested through Siphon and processed using a streaming processing pipeline, and they use machine learning and various techniques to raise alerts in near real time, so you can actually respond very fast if there's an intrusion or some malicious activity that happens. This is actually a very high scale from a data volume perspective, and Siphon supports over 7 million events per second for this particular scenario. So I can tell that's a lot of data, and we need high reliability and availability to support those kind of scenarios. Let me give you one more scenario. This one is powering SharePoint Online. So SharePoint is one of the Office 365 services that our customers use. A couple of areas that are powered by Siphon. There is analytics and reporting, and there are intelligent features. When I say analytics, I mean if a customer has an IT admin who wants to understand what's happening with their SharePoint service, they get a report. So some of the analytics on that site analytics reports is powered by Siphon.
Okay.
The second is an intelligent feature driven off of user activity. A user activity might be an end user of SharePoint Online, checking in a file or making an edit to their presentation. And when these happen, signals are sort of pushed through Siphon, and you have an intelligent service that consumes that and maybe provides a feature. For example, a push notification, like maybe your colleague edited a file and you get a push notification. We are ramping up the Siphon use for this scale for Office 365, and we are deploying across the globe actually, because SharePoint Online is a global service, and so we need presence in different regions across the globe.
So essentially an administrator who has set up their own SharePoint Online environment, so they're one of our customers. I'm a customer of SharePoint Online, and I'm setting up a push notification. Behind the scenes, it's actually wiring into Siphon, and Siphon is driving that experience for me as the consumer of it.
Perfect. That's exactly how it's set up.
All right.
So I want to explain why we chose HDinsight to power Siphon, right? In the industry, like Kafka is the standard for pub sub at high scale. So when we looked at how are we going to deploy Kafka, we looked at what are the options available, and Apache Kafka on HDinsight was a good choice for us. And here are the few reasons. So the HDinsight team provides a managed service, so it takes care of deployment, patching, maintenance, and so on with a high SLA. So that was a very important service that we could leverage. Another thing is, especially when we think about Office 365 and so on, we need to provide a lot of compliance guarantees on how we manage the service. HDinsight already has a lot of security and compliance guarantees built in. So we can build on top of that and just add the pieces that are required for Office 365. And the third important piece for us was the flexibility, right? So with different scenarios going on, we need to sort of customize the clusters that we build in terms of the kind of compute and the kind of storage we want. And HDinsight gives that flexibility. You can choose the VM type, you can choose how much disks to attach to a particular VM, and we can also customize the software that actually runs on each VM. So these were important reasons why Siphon was able to use Apache Kafka on HDinsight. In addition, innovations like the managed disks really give us the cost efficiency that we needed. And there are other valuable features, like we get monitoring out of the box, it's available in regions across the globe. So when you want to scale with your customer going from one region to another, it's as easy as creating another HDI Kafka cluster in a different region.
Right. So it's pretty easy to just get started, get things set up and standardized, and then where you need to have customization with machine size or
exactly,
you've got that flexibility.
You can go with the defaults, or you can choose to customize as you need for your scenario. So that was very helpful.
But you still get all the benefits of the managed service.
Exactly.
Great.
So I'll just summarize the scale that we have with Siphon, because I think it may be interesting for some of the viewers to know this. Overall, across all the clusters that we have on Apache Kafka on HDinsight, we have over 1 trillion events per day, and we think that's pretty significant volume, and it's still growing. So we are happy that HDI Kafka has helped us to scale to this level, and we're looking to continue to grow. Today we have more than 30 clusters running on HDI Kafka, and these clusters together have more than 600 brokers. A typical cluster is about 10 nodes, and each node has 10 disks attached. So that's about 100 terabytes of storage within a single cluster. And this type of cluster can, in our sort of stress testing, we found it can sustain more than 1 gigabyte per second of ingress. We don't run that hot in production, so we have overall about 4 gigabytes per second, and it's growing. So that's the kind of scale we are at.
Right. What are you looking for next?
So the HDinsight Kafka team, we work very closely with them, and they shared a couple of features that are upcoming that I just wanted to talk about. We are looking forward to leveraging these in Siphon, particularly getting to Kafka 1. So we're looking forward to the bug fixes and improvements that come from Kafka 1. And the other feature that they are looking to release is fine-grained security control with Apache Ranger. So we think this will help us, especially in our areas of security and compliance guarantees. So we're looking forward to looking at these features in future.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you very much. It was great to learn more about what you're doing with Siphon and the incredible scale that we have with this service that you've developed for powering many of our services that our customers are using.
Absolutely.
And also to learn how you can pull together these different services that we provide on Azure to create your own application service to power your enterprise applications. So it was really interesting to see how you're using Kafka.
Thank you. Yeah, we think this will be very interesting for our Azure customers to know how we within Microsoft are using these services to build higher scale and very large services that support all of Microsoft.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you, Lara.
Today we've been learning all about Siphon on Azure Friday.